Well, thank you for coming in, viewers, to the channel. I appreciate it. Reverend Dr. J.W. Morrison, Theologist, Central Coast, New South Wales, Australia, bringing the situation out into the yard. Beautiful place where I live. Gosford on the Central Coast, New South Wales, Australia. I do again thank you for giving your time to what I have to say on the subjects of spirituality and personality disorders and the like. We finished off in verse 27 of Proverbs 21, where the sacrifice of an evil person is detestable. And that was reminding us that people will try and manipulate and control us by the things that they do. I remember I had a conflict. One of my ex-girlfriend's flying monkeys, after a breakup, rang me up and accused me of just buying a lounge. I bought her a lounge. She had no lounge to sit on. She moved the lounge into a bedroom, and I got her a lounge for out in a lounge room, just a cheap one. It wasn't to influence her or control her in any way. And I got her a heater to keep her warm economically in winter, and I was accused of trying to manipulate her. I just told the guy to stop. You need to stop. There was don't need to do that. I don't need to do stuff like that. But I think it intimidated these guys because they weren't doing anything probably equivalent to that. I don't know why people jump to these conclusions that you're trying to manipulate people as though you're some kind of a desperate, and that wasn't the case at all. So I'm not sure what happened in their past, but they had no comprehension that you can do things in a way in which you're trying to help. The godly love to give. That's all it was. I wanted to help this woman. I wanted to be a contribution to her life. But it was not represented that way. And I thought, well, screw you too. It was conflict of spirit, I think. There was just no unity. They had no comprehension of where I was coming from or what I was doing, and I'm not sure what went on there before I come along, but it was pretty tough and it was pretty sad. But my sacrifices, and it wasn't a sacrifice, it was just I wanted my partner to be comfortable, I wanted to be warm. I got her a little air conditioner as well that kept it cool in summer. Not to gain anything, just for her comfort. I didn't want anything in return. But anyway, these things get misrepresented, and that's what flying monkeys do. They make out that you're trying to manipulate and control, possibly because that's what they do. I don't know. Something triggered something. There was triggers going on everywhere, and in the end I just couldn't be bothered. You've got to be careful of look at the people in these people's homes, and you'll soon work out who's what and what's where and what you're dealing with and what you're up against. Now we move on from verse 27, where it was all about wrong motives and evil within your intent to try and influence people to stay in a situation where it's not loving, it's just a means of supply. And this is happening a lot lately, where people are getting caught up in relationships and they're going, something's just not right here, something's just not working out right here, and something's just not, I feel emotionally blank. And this is where a lot of people begin to speak up about their relationships, and they start to complain, and they want to fix things and help things and try and get things in order. But unfortunately, in a lot of these cases, they don't, and they stay around too long. People stay around too long where they shouldn't. And that's where the trauma and the damage comes in. They get used, abused, stolen from. They get manipulated and controlled. And then they get told false things to them and about them. And this can go both ways. You can have two lots of family members working against each other to try and put across their point of view, which really has nothing to do with the privacy of the relationship. There's no boundaries, and people aren't setting boundaries, and everybody's all over everything. But we'll bring it to an end. But we'll cause it to go into a demise, because there'll be too many influences in the background working against you, and you have to put these people to rest straight away. Particularly if your partner's done nothing wrong. If you don't deal with this straight away, you're going to end up with all sorts of trouble, and it accumulates. Unresolved has a way of accumulating. And what happened in a couple of relationships, I had to cut family members off. I didn't want to know them. They made out that I was the problem, that this and that and all the other was to get me away from the mother. And I never bought into any of it, or never even addressed any of it. I saw what I saw and I experienced what I experienced. She knew what was going on, and there was not much she could do. She was the meat and the end of the sandwich, and enmeshed and all that. This happened a couple of times, and with other women as well. And you just got to cut them off. She kept coming over. We tried to build something, and then there was a family event. It was like we were all going to go as if nothing was wrong. I thought, that's not going to happen. And then there was some kind of comment about, why didn't I fix the problem? Well, I never had a problem. There was no problem to fix. And that's where these people become ignorant and arrogant. Where's that passage? We saw it here. They don't mean to, but they're blinded by their DNA, their maternal bonds, and it stops them from seeing wisdom in situations, because by nature we want to protect our genes, our family prodigy. We want to protect our spawn and all that. And it's hard when that's been where they've had to grow up doing that, where the situation has formulated for them to have to do that. And now all of a sudden there's somebody there that's got integrity and is seeing things that aren't in order and that could be improved, and all of a sudden the shoe's on the other foot. It's time for some people to have a little look-see at themselves. And that then results in them wanting to cut you off. But they're cutting you off via false witness. When Jesus was crucified, they had to get false witnesses up in the end to get him condemned. But they were false. What they said wasn't true. And if you're on your game and you're not onto drugs and you're not in alcohol and all that sort of stuff, you'll see these people coming. You'll see what's going on and how it works and how it doesn't work, and what they're going to do and what they're not. And so, it just causes division. And again, false comments and false accusations against people is unresolved. It's actually causing problems. And a lot of people aren't willing to address this. They're just willing to leave it go, see what happens. And in the meantime, when you go into false witness, false slandering people and assassinating them, their character, and vandalizing them emotionally, and all the stuff that comes with this, you find a toxic environment which you don't want to be in. Now, you're still with your partner and they're still turning up. There's not much they can do about it either. It's a situation which has domestically been developed, can't change something like that overnight, if at all. And people just start cutting each other off. They just start cutting each other off. And in the end, there's just nothing left. That's how narcissism works. This is the beginning of or in the middle of, the devalue stage. You've got flying monkeys all over it. You've got minions, gremlins, and people interfering and carrying on, and they're all jealous. The golden child's gone jealous. The scapegoat's gone with the golden child. Poor mother, she don't know what way to turn, so she ends up, she goes into a spiral. Then you got people feigning or having psychological collapses and narcissistic collapses, and it says there the credible witness will be allowed to speak, but there was no credibility in any of it. She knew there was credibility in what I was saying relative to emotional incest, and it wasn't to attack, it was to protect her and the children. Just have a look at this, guys. You can bring some order to all of yourselves if you want, and you can make your relationships healthier outside and inside the home relative to their intimate relationships and their sociological relationships and things. But it's very hard to reculturalize people. It's very hard for people to accept things, and I have to take my hat off. These guys knew what was going on, and they knew that I'd had experience of all of this, but it was too convenient. See, when you're in a situation and the convenience of it and the supply of it is threatened, then of course it's gonna get to the stage where they want you gone. It doesn't matter what it's going. I've seen some terrible things with these young adults and these children of these people, where they've just had so much authority. The parent, really, there was nothing much the parent could do to save anything or resolve anything. It just wasn't a possibility. It just wasn't going to happen. And if you're credible, then I guess if you want to speak. But I think when you're in a situation where people are just making up stuff and feigning things and trying to discredit you and trying to assassinate your character and stuff, you're better just to walk away. Because once the accusations start, then you better not go into the bluff. Because for the narcissist, the character assassination, the golden child narc, that's been formed by possibly the mother's sadnesses and abuse from the marriage or partner. They turn to the child and surrogate the child, and they grandiose the child. And even if they're doing wrong, they get praised and whatnot. If you buy into a false accusation, then you buy into the bluff. If you say nothing and walk away and keep your mouth shut, because it says a couple of times in the Bible, even a fool is counted wise if he holds his tongue. If you just keep your mouth shut, then it's going to work out a whole lot better for you. The wicked bluff their way through, but the virtuous think before they act. Step back. Don't buy into the bluff. Don't buy into the false witness. Don't buy into the fantasy, the delusion. A lot of these people go into delusion just out of desperateness to try and get rid of you through their jealousy and whatnot. Be virtuous. Think before you act. Step back and do what's best for you and them. I've got to get off. I've run out of time. This is Reverend Dr. J.W. Morrison, Theologist. If this has resonated with you, think about subscribing and pressing the button. It's gold. Thank you for joining me, and bye for now.